past 11 with Need to Breathe, Let Us Love. Jane with you this morning, but also joining us, Laura, Georgia and Daniel. They're part of a rally tomorrow in the city, and in particular looking at some concerns with healthcare when it comes to eating disorders. Laura and Georgia have both been recipients of great care through Ward 4G at Flinders Medical Centre, and concerns that with the moving of the facility, it won't be available to girls under 18. Now, both of you girls were actually under 18 when you were diagnosed with eating disorders. Is that huge, do you think, Laura?
Yes, that's correct. They just be taken to the Women's and Children's Hospital, and basically they're just tube fed and sent home, and the underlying issues aren't being dealt with. So, if it's relocated and the patients under 18 aren't allowed, where are they going to go? And that's why we're fighting to keep the ward open in Flinders as it is now. And also, like I mentioned before, the fact that eating disorder patients will be mixed in with other patients with general psychiatric illnesses, we feel that it won't be beneficial for the recovery process for eating disorder sufferers specifically. Yeah.
Georgia, tell us a little bit about your recovery process.
Okay, so I was 16 and I developed the disease, and then at 17 I went into Ward 4G, and at that time it was a general psychiatric facility, so I was in there with a lot of other unwell people, and I can remember several incidents that just prove that it's not appropriate for people with eating disorders. I had a man with schizophrenia become fixated on me. I had a young boy with autism declare when we'd just eaten lunch. He was eating margarine out of the little packets, which was, if you're well, that's all well and, that's all fine. But as an eating disorder patient, it was quite disturbing. And then he actually declared that he was not well and was going to take his own life with a gun that he had. And that was very distressing for all of us. And it was meant to be a private lounge for the eating disorder patients, but all the other patients would come into that lounge, so it was not in fact private. That sort of concerns I have, that young girls are going to be around this again. And I've also heard of another incident when there's cooking classes in Margaret Tobin, and there was a code black, which is, I think, is violence, and the girls had to be locked in the cooking room with a nurse until the matter was resolved, which is really scary for them. I mean, I'm very open-minded and I'm all for better mental health services, but this is not an appropriate environment for treating eating disorders. That's a basic fact. It's not about being mean or about being discriminating. It's just the way it is. And yeah, it's not nice.
Laura, I haven't had an eating disorder, so it's hard for me to think what it must be like. What goes on in your head when you're going through the whole process of trying to get better? What's it like?
Well, first of all, what people have to understand is that having an eating disorder is not a choice. You don't suddenly wake up one day and go, decide I'm going to be anorexic today. It's not like that. It's several internal factors, external factors that contribute to how people deal with things, and people deal in different ways. And for me and Georgia, we developed an eating disorder. We wanted control over our lives, control over food, control over how we looked, and then it just got, once the voices get in your head, it's just out of control, and you basically are just tormented day in and day out.
Georgia, what's it like to deal with those voices in your head? I mean, what do you do? How do you start?
Well, like I said before, I didn't know what to do. I knew I was sick. Some people don't even realise they're sick. They don't believe it's an illness when it is an illness. And I wanted to get better. I wanted to eat. I just didn't know how. And it's like having another person inside of you that's commanding that you do certain things, and you have to follow them. I don't know what happens if you don't follow them. Actually, yes, I do. You have many breakdowns and things like that.
And you don't get better.
You don't get better.
Yeah. Look, I've been really inspired just meeting all three of you today. And back to Daniel, who really is tying this all together. And you mentioned at the very start when we started chatting that, you have a passion to really help these girls, the future, they're going to be dealing with disorders when it comes to eating. So you've really helped pull this together. The Facebook page I'll mention in a minute where you can find out more. But just give us a few more details about tomorrow and what's happening in the city.
Well, with the event itself in the city, it's basically going to be a rally which we've been organising. It's been months and months in the planning. It's going to be a very coordinated, very controlled event. There'll be many different speakers from different sectors of health, people who are specialists in the area of eating disorders, and also other mental health facilities. And essentially we're just encouraging people who really have a passion that want to help, mothers, fathers, grandfathers, uni students, anyone who can really find the time, even if it's on their lunch break. The event itself is between 12:30 to 1:30 outside of Parliament House.
Now, you also want people to wear lime green, I believe, a bit of a colour for the day. Look, thanks for filling us in with what you're up to, and just great to see the passion in some young people to make a difference. If you'd like to find out more, the Facebook page is Help Stop the Eating Disorder Unit at Flinders from closing down. Bit of a mouthful. I've put up a link to on my Facebook, Mornings at Life, at our website life.on.net. Well, back to music now with Joy Williams.